Hello and welcome back to Little Gold Linings Book Reviews. This is super fun and super easy. I'm going to read you a story and give you any commentary that there is to be had, if there is any. Today for your reading, listening pleasure, we have Climate Change for Babies. This is written by Ferrie and Katherina Petrou. I'm a little bit guessing on the pronunciation there, but it can't be too far off, right? It's got to be okay. They have a whole series of books that's different science topics for babies. And I like the way that they break it down. We're going to read this today. I haven't read it in a while. We'll see what there is to see. Okay. This is a ball. It is the shape of Earth, our home. Earth is smiling in this picture. That's significant, as you will soon discover. Our home is wrapped in a blanket called the atmosphere. The atmosphere is made of a special mixture of gases. For those of you playing at home, we have oxygen, water, carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrogen. Did you know that our environment is made primarily up of nitrogen? Now you do. It protects the Earth from the cold of outer space. It is referring to the blanket. Okay, the blanket. The blanket protects the Earth from the cold of outer space by trapping just the right amount of heat. The planet Venus has a much thicker blanket and is too hot. The planet Mars has a thin blanket and is too cold, which is very, very tricky for most children, by the way, to learn because Mars is a red planet, and red is always associated with hot and heat and fire. So to remember that the red planet is actually the icy cold planet, and then Mars is the hot planet, is backwards. So it's good that they did this. This helped my kids to learn it. Earth's blanket is just right, thanks to trees, animals, and oceans. They help keep the atmosphere in balance. That's true, by divine design, by the way. Heavenly Father is so smart. But people on Earth are changing the blanket. Okay, I think I would argue that people on Earth are part of the blanket. It's not like the Earth was this perfectly wonderful Garden Eden place and then man came along and just started messing everything up. It's not like that. The Earth was literally created so that man could inhabit it because men are the children of God and heirs to the kingdom of God, and this Earth was created for us to learn how to become more like him. So I don't really like what they're implying here. People on Earth are changing the blanket. I mean, in a way it's true. We make some poor decisions, but I don't know. Industry, heating, coal power, transportation, livestock, and fertilizers. I like how they just say livestock. They're not talking about like mass producing. They're not talking about like huge cow farms, just livestock in general. Any livestock apparently are bad according to this book because cows pooty toot. Oh, I'm sorry. This is all one sentence. Industry, heating, coal power, transportation, livestock, and fertilizers all send greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These are, I guess, the greenhouse gases is what it's implying. Methane, nitrogen oxide, and carbon dioxide. Notice that nitrogen oxide is not listed anywhere here in the natural gases that make up our atmosphere. We have regular nitrogen and we have carbon dioxide, but here in the greenhouse gases section, we have nitrogen oxide. That's a different compound, and it affects the environment differently. That's why they specified. Okay. This is making the blanket heavier and thicker. A thicker blanket traps heat, making Earth feel unwell. I guess unwell was a better word than just saying it feels sick. Warmer temperatures cause the sea level to rise and cause warmer temperatures, okay, that's plural, and cause, okay, I got you. Warmer temperatures cause the sea level to rise and cause more extreme weather events. I reckon this is true. I don't know, climate change and global warming, it's such a complicated thing, it's hard to know how many things are true and what's not true. But this all sounds like sound doctrine to me. Sounds like good science. What I've learned of science anyway. We must help our Earth before it's too late. Oh gosh, what do you think is going to happen? I don't know. Climate action now, but what can be done? There's the question. Here's the answer, apparently. Fewer cars and factories mean less greenhouse gases in the... Oh gosh. Okay, huge pet peeve. I'm sorry, this is a huge pet peeve. And I always make these mistakes in books, particularly in children's books. Why do they do this? Fewer cars and factories, at least they didn't say less cars and factories, right? When you're using the word less and more, what you're talking about is the measurement of a single thing. You're measuring, like you pour water into a cup. You're going to have more water or you're going to have less water, depending on how much you're only measuring one thing. When you're talking about multiple, you're measuring one item. When you're talking about multiple items, that's when you're going to say you're going to have fewer or more than, right? So they're comparing multiple items here, cars and factories. So it's good that they said fewer. They didn't say less, right? They said fewer cars and factories, that's correct, mean less greenhouse gases. Gases is plural. We're talking about multiple things again. So it should be fewer cars and factories mean fewer greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Unless what they want to do is just clump all of the greenhouse gases that they listed on the previous page. If they want to lump them all into just one big group and just call it greenhouse gas, then they could say that fewer cars and factories mean less greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. And that would be okay. That would be grammatically correct. But this is grammatically incorrect. Okay, they started out great and then they just botched it by making the exact mistake that they had corrected in the beginning of the sentence. It's just... Fewer cars and factories mean fewer greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. We can replace coal and oil with solar and wind power. I feel like we could have a very long conversation about this particular page right here, because this is, it sounds like a great idea. There are harms in solar and wind power. It's not a perfect solution. It's not. But I agree that we should definitely give it a go for places where they can reasonably do it. You know, I think a lot of homes could switch to solar and it would be, but what do I know? Trees capture and store carbon. We can protect our forests and plant new ones. Those two sentences don't sound like they should be right next to each other. I feel like they deleted something in the middle there. Okay, trees capture and store carbon. They also give off oxygen, by the way, which is what we need to breathe. So I don't know why they didn't mention that there. We can protect our forests and plant new ones. Planting forests. If we all do our part, the earth will start to feel better. I wonder how many years it would take for the earth to actually start to feel better. Much longer than our lifetime. Our lifetimes, that's plural also. We're having troubles with our being grammatically correct today. Here's an example of some of the other books that they have written. You've got Astrophysics for Babies, ABCs of Science, Evolution for Babies. Ooh, that sounds fascinating. I would love to read that one. If you have ever read that book, leave down in the comments what you have thought about it, because I am very, very interested in that. And then we also have ABCs of Oceanography. Okay, so in general, I think what it said, I think it's good. I think they broke it down pretty well. I mean, it's a sign of true intelligence is to be able to take a very complicated subject and be able to explain it in simple terms so that a child can understand. That's kind of a measure of a person's understanding of a topic and a measure of their level of intelligence. At least that's what I learned a long time ago, and it seems to make sense, and I've liked it and used it ever since then. So I do like the way that they broke this down. I think that they make some pretty strong claims that I don't know if I would feel comfortable making those claims without having a tremendous amount of scientific data and evidence and evidentiary support. Maybe they do have that evidentiary support, but because it's a children's book, there aren't any footnotes, and we don't have a works cited page, you know what I mean? So I'd be interested to know where they get all of their information on some of the claims that they have made, but that's obviously work for an adult anyway, and this is a children's book. So in general, I don't think that we are preaching false doctrine if we were to have our children read this book. And I do have it in my library, which is why I'm reading it to you today. And I do read it to my kids, and they like the idea of us planting trees. We're going to plant some trees on our property, and we plan on eventually switching our house to solar, trying to do our part, you know, as a family to, I guess, reduce our carbon footprint is kind of the popularly coined phrase nowadays, reduce your carbon footprint. And we're all for that. But if I were to be completely honest, I'm not really worried about the earth like exploding or killing us. I mean, I don't know. Having lots of natural disasters is a sign of the last days. And maybe some of those natural disasters are coming because of the greenhouse effect and global warming and climate change. Maybe a lot of those natural disasters are coming because of this. But the fact that they're here is not really a surprise. And I don't really know there's a whole lot we can do to stop it. We can't really stop the last days from happening. We're already in them. The earth was created for mankind. And I don't think that blaming mankind for everything that's happening to the earth is necessarily going to help us be happier or help increase our faith in Jesus Christ, which is a huge goal of mine, is to be continually increasing my faith in Jesus Christ. So I don't know. I like it, but it's tricky. I would just be careful the way that we phrase things. We don't want to teach our children, I think, or other people, that people are the problem. I don't want to teach people that people are the problem. We don't want to encourage self-loathing or loathing of our fellow men. It's just not going to help. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Climate change for babies. Join us next time.